This is hell versus hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. You can't weigh it on the scale. Kamikaze. Kamikaze might just kill everybody. Kamikaze. Dropping bodies. Kamikaze go crazy everybody. I'm a king, bitch. It just hit the scene. Chasing out of the green instead of my dreams by making a cream. Sex, magic, tactics, fucking a life she never had it. She a money manic, savage, lavish with the static. Bang, it's insane the way she popping it to my name. Way she dropping it can't be tamed. She keeping it real with yin and yang. She addicted to the game that I'm spitting in the brain. Steady aim, like Luke Kane. Got that fire, she make it rain. Oh, he must be grounded spirit, speaking for the tongue of Phoenix. Call me prophet of the Gothic. Watch it rearrange your logic on the throne. Can't be cloned, grown off that super strong. Call me wizard of the spirit, travel through to the etheric. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. I see that which is hidden. Close my eyes and I just listen. Twisted, having all these visions of my future, how I'm living. Heighten up the low vibration, sacred. While still in the matrix, geometric constellations. Spark my mind for conversation. It's a dawn of the marijuana. With that mystic charm. So yes, it's better charm. Yes, I guess it's better. I do nigh in the sky, swinging swords like samurai. Cause the bullshit and the lies so that I can synchronize. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail, snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. Bitch, I like the style. With all type of sounds. With all type of rounds. That'll knock it down. That'll knock it down. Knock it down. All type of sound. All type of sound. All type of round. All type of round. I like the style. Out of space. Homeostasis. You would think that we was laced. Prophecy. Philosophy. Equivalent to the Odyssey. Snatching off your fucking veil. Sipping on the holy grail. You can't weigh this on the scale. L, rich as hell. Call me L, rich as hell. You can't weigh this on the scale. Sipping from the holy grail. Snatching off your fucking veil. L, rich as hell. L, rich as hell. You can't weigh it on the scale. Weigh it on the scale. Kamikaze, spirit in the human body. Kamikaze, they think he Illuminati. Kamikaze, spirit in the human body. Kamikaze, they the Illuminati.
Yeah, y'all already know who the fuck it is. Don't act like y'all don't know. We in here. What's good, what's good, what's good? Hopefully everybody is putting in work. Fuck being good. Put in work. Alright, we in here. Current events, predictions, y'all already know how we do. You say what's up to everybody in the chat. What's up, Alpha? What's up, Laura? What's up, Denise? What's up, Spinosaurus? What's up, Isaiah? What's up, 305 Capricorn? What's up, Gold and Appeal? What's up, Figgy? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's the name of the song? L, Fresh as Hell by yours truly. What's up, Mia? So just had to give y'all a quick throwback just to let y'all know. He been with this shit. That was a little ahead of its time. But now it's perfect. Now it's perfect. What's up, Jasmine? What's up, King? Just want to let y'all know that if y'all haven't been taking the predictions and the astrology and everything I've been saying seriously, maybe you should by now. Because I guarantee you, I have accurately predicted. What do I mean? Go back to my video 2020, the 2020 download. I just want to reiterate this point before we move on. What's up, Moon Spirit? I told y'all in the video, the 2020 download, look at the date that was uploaded. When I released the 2020 download, it was February 3rd, 2020. Okay, go back and do the history. I told you guys in that video that it is time to put on the helmet of Hades. February 3rd. Smash, and I told y'all this is a year of Shin. This is a year of Pluto, 2020. I said that before any of this popped off, when everybody was doing regular things. Nobody was, again, it's February 3rd. It didn't get serious to March. Now, everybody is wearing a fucking mask. Now, if you can tell me who else predicted that perfectly, then I'll shut the fuck up. Till then, let's move on. Just want to make it clear. I have the evidence. So everything that I'm saying, go back and check it. I told you guys also last video with the April 2020 videos that is going to start getting hot the week of April 13th. Between April 13th and April 15th, also April 23rd. The reason why I make this current events, because I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to show you guys on the screen that the president just said the next 2 weeks are going to be super severe. So it was just confirmed by the president. Why? Because astrology matters. So just making this clear, if you are not taking this seriously, maybe you should, because you can go back and check the evidence yourself. And everything that I said in that video, we see it coming forth. I told you guys separate. I told you guys I had already been in isolation, studying up. I had already been putting out massive videos before anything popped off. So I'm not one of the people who just got on this bandwagon and talking about this stuff. I had already been releasing video after video, putting you guys on game before anything popped off. So just making it clear for those who may not know. Go back to the video, watch it again, and you see everything come forth. There was no one else that accurate with it because no one else knew. Why? Because I got it directly from the spirit. There's no books that would have told you this. There is nothing that could have foreseen this other than the spirit itself. So we must listen to the messengers. Not saying that I'm the only one, but you have someone that has your best interests at heart. Now let's move on. As we see here, I want you guys to pay attention to the screen. I have on the left-hand side here, we have the chart. Right now, what's going on right now. On the right-hand side, we have aspects. So we basically are seeing the same thing, just in a different form. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the bottom aspects where we see the squares. So if we look on the right-hand side, if we see what looks like a horseshoe, the last 4 points, we have the north node, 2 points of the north node, 2 points of the south node. The last 4 points, we see 4 squares. We see north node, 3 degrees Gemini, has a square with the midheaven, which is 6 degrees Pisces. We see the north node, 3 degrees Gemini, has another square with IC, 6 degrees Virgo. Then we see the south node right under that, 3 degrees Sagittarius, has a square with the midheaven, 6 degrees Pisces, and it has a square with the IC, 6 degrees Virgo. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to lay down some foundation, then we're going to take a look at some current events. Because I want to implement current events as I speak. That way it's not strictly just astrology and I'm just speaking about it. We're going to compare it to what's actually going on, so I'll be able to pull up actual articles that's coming out in the news, so we'll be able to verify what's going on. As opposed to if I'm just saying it, then, who knows what'll happen. If it's not able to be verified, then it doesn't make any sense. Now, the North Node, for those who may not know, represents our ultimate aim and objective in life. Because we're looking at a worldly chart, so this is a collective chart, in other words. So this is what's happening on a collective level. This is also Eastern astrology, for those who may be confused as to why the alignments may not reflect Western astrology, because this is Eastern astrology. Also, I have perfectly configured this chart to only have the outer planets and to only have the 4 angles. So you will not see the sun, you will not see the moon, you will not see Mercury. You will only see the outer planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto with the 4 points. The reason why I emphasize the outer planets, because again, these are the subtle influences in the background of reality. This is not what's going on the forefront. Everybody else is talking about what's going on the forefront. Let everybody else talk about that. I'm going to tell you what's going on behind the scenes, right? I'm going to tell you about what's going on secretly and hidden so that you can see it for yourself. Now, what is the best book that'll teach you how to read and do astrology? It's not about a book. You have to commit the symbols to memory. There is no book. You know, there's all types of books about astrology, all the way back to the 16th century, 17th century. There is hundreds of thousands of astrology books. There is no way we're going to be able to get through them. But I will recommend read older astrology books when you are advanced. What do I mean? Let me make this point perfectly clear before we move on. Do not take astrology lightly. What do I mean? Just because in the 20th century we take astrology lightly, like, you know, anybody could do this. This is not the case. Over time, astrology has been watered down. Understand, astrology has been watered down. It has been simplified over time so that the average person can understand it. So when it comes to horoscopes and all of the mundane aspects of astrology that most people are familiar with, their sun sign, so on and so forth, this is astrology simplified. This is not the full essence of astrology. This is astrology on a level where even a child can understand it, which is perfectly fine, because if a child can understand it, then as they mature, they'll be able to unlock more advanced degrees of it. So that's no problem. But understand that even though we see astrology in the 21st century light, this is not it in this original context, because if you read older astrology books, they are implementing astrology, not just astrology, but also alchemy. They speak in a language that the average person that understands astrology will not even understand. Meaning it's more based upon chemistry. It's more based upon the elements, the actual elements, the periodic table, being able to create things, being able to collect resources and experiment. This is the original basis of astrology. Everything had to be proven. When you read older astrology books, most people would not be able to understand them. They are too advanced. They are too complex. It's just too much. The original essence of it. Read the older books. It will probably be too hard for you to comprehend at first until you understand the more simplified version. So as you commit the symbols to memory, because you must know what the symbols mean. You have to commit the symbols to memory. This is why I'm even here, to emphasize, commit the symbols to memory so that they come to life. If you do not commit the symbols to memory, they're just going to be a bunch of gibberish on the screen. Some people are looking at the screen right now and it's just complete gibberish. Until you commit the glyphs to memory, that's when they come to life. Once you commit them to memory and you assign the attributes, that's another degree. Once you understand the attributes, then you understand chemistry. Well, what does fire do with water? What does air do with earth? Then what does this planet do with this planet? What is an example of an older astrology book? Okay, you know what? We have the internet, right? See, this is the great advantage of having the screens, because I can actually show you in real time. Right, I can actually show you in real time. So what I'll do, I'll actually show you. So that's no problem. As we progress on, I'll actually show you what I mean. Yes, there is no looking back when you understand the occult, specifically astrology. See, if astrology is too complex, you must start with numerology. And if you have mastered astrology, you must advance to alchemy. Again, This is how it works. Even though this is not how it is in the 21st century. Everybody's just doing whatever they want. You got numerologists, you got astrologists, you got alchemists, everybody's separate. But if you can merge them together, which is how they should be, that's how they were in their originality. When this was originally manifested, they were manifested together. Over time, they began to separate. Just like astronomy and astrology were both one in the original essence. As I've spoken before the 17th century, you could go to college to learn astronomy and astrology. After the 17th century, they removed astrology and kept astronomy. So you can go to college, learn astronomy, but there is no classes for astrology. It was separated over time, but the original manifestation, they were no different. So this is why there's so much confusion and why we feel like everything is separated when in fact they are one and the same. But it takes you to activate your superconscious to synchronize them, which is another reason why I am emphasizing the outer planets, because the outer planets will show you how to actually do magic. Most people use astrology for mundane reasons. When you use astrology for occult work, things become a little different. Once you take it beyond the physical, once you see like, oh, astrology is actually spiritual. Astrology does tell me what's occurring in my life, but that's not the reason why it tells you, for you to just know. Western astrology does not take you beyond knowing what's going on right before you. What is the purpose of knowing? What is the purpose of being able to predict the future? Just so you can accumulate more possessions? What would be the purpose of you knowing how to read glyphs, hieroglyphs? Because these are hieroglyphs. What would be the purpose? Obviously, there is a deeper meaning behind what is the apparent. But again, the 21st century would not allow you to understand that unless you synchronize it. You must tap into the Aquarian information. You must manifest it in its original light. Moving on. As we see before us, if you look at Uranus, we see Uranus in Aries, which I've already explained, and the Uranian mysteries. I also explained that I will be explaining the Neptunian mysteries and the Plutonian mysteries in time. Because the Neptunian mysteries are at play right now, as everybody is in their home. What is everybody doing in their home? Well, if we look at Neptune, what does Neptune represent? Well, what does it represent? Because it has multiple aspects. For one, it represents artists, music, and drugs. Let's talk serious. What do you think people are doing at home? If they're not getting high or entertaining themselves in some form or fashion, what are they entertaining themselves with? Drugs, music, art, all things that are manifested through creativity. But what is being manifested? See, this is where we go deeper. What is being manifested? Now that we understand what Neptune represents, well, we see Neptune is in 20 degrees Aquarius. What does that mean? The 2 is moon. 0 is Jupiter. Not Jupiter. Why would 0 be Jupiter? 2 is the moon. 0 is Pluto. So we have a fusion of the moon and Pluto. So we have Neptune, moon, Pluto, synchronized together, manifesting or filtering itself through the Aquarian energy. Now you see, that's real astrology when you understand the synchronicities. From most people are not even reading astrology in that fashion, but that's from my original manifestation. Because as you grow in astrology, astrology is vast, astrology is infinite. You will develop your own techniques. There is not one way to do this. Now, numerology is more concrete, which is why a lot of people understand numerology better, because you are not really able to be artistic because everything is set in stone. The one has attributes, two has attributes, so on and so forth, and those attributes are more so definite. With astrology, you have to tap into your creativity because you are synchronizing multiple energies at the same time. You are synchronizing planets and zodiac signs. This is a form of alchemy. This is mental alchemy. Astrology exercises your mental alchemy because the same way people practice problem solving, which is why the secondary title of this video was called The Problem Solver. Why? Because for those who have been paying attention, we know that the number 4 is Uranus. But I also told you guys before this shit popped off that the number 4 is Rahu. And I also told you earlier this year that the number 4 is also Medusa, for those who have been paying attention. Rahu, for those who are unfamiliar with the story, rather, because you may not know the story, so I'll tell you now. Rahu was a demon who had aspirations to become immortal. So he took a chance. What chance did he take? He went amongst the gods, disguised himself as one of them. They were passing around a holy elixir that made them immortal. As we see, even in mythology, we have references to alchemical elixirs. There was an elixir that made you immortal. Even in alchemical philosophy, we hear about the philosopher's stone, the elixir of life. So these are hinted at also in mythology. Who is making these elixirs? Who created the philosopher's stone? Did it just pop up naturally in the earth? Who is creating these things? This is the final degree. Again, this is the most secret and hidden degree. This is what has completely been removed from astrology currently, because alchemy is not mentioned. Let's move on. So Rahu had aspirations to become immortal. He took a chance. He disguised himself as a god. They were passing around the holy nectar. They realized who he was. The holy nectar just touched the tip of his tongue before they cut his head off. So the tip of his tongue touched the elixir right as they cut his head off. So he became a immortal head. His head became immortal. His head was separated from his body. The body became what we call 𝔄𝔬𝔢𝔢𝔢, and the head became what we call Rahu. So when you are working with Rahu or studying Rahu, Rahu is the demon. Rahu is the most challenging number there is, which is the number 4. The number 4 is the most challenging number out of all numbers. So it is no coincidence that this year, all of these things are happening and manifesting. The number 4 is the most challenging number out of all numbers. That's already established. From the essence of Rahu, the number 4 will be an earthly energy. The number 4 represents the foundation, the 4 directions, the 4 elements, so on and so forth, the culture. From the essence or the perspective of Medusa now, who is also demonic, she becomes a demon after she is raped. She pleaded for help, was ignored, and became demonic. That's the short version, of course. She was a beautiful woman, angelic. One of the gods looked at her, wanted her, took her. She pleaded for help to Athena. Athena turned her back, let it happen. And she was punished because she was no longer a virgin. Because she was raped, she was no longer a virgin, so her status was taken away from her, was ripped away from her. Her whole life, everything she worked for was snatched away from her. And from that point on, she was cursed. to become what we know as Medusa with the snakes. And she turns to stone anyone who stares upon her gaze. Medusa is also depicted as just the head. Sometimes you just like with the Versace symbol. I believe that's how you say a Versace symbol. You see the head of Medusa, just like you see the head of Rahu. So what is it with these heads, these immortal heads? They can also symbolize protection. There are stories in mythology that use the head of Medusa as a shield or as protection. So on one perspective, or from one view, it's super demonic. The opposite view, it's protection. Just like the energy of the devil or the adversary or Satan, represented as Saturn. Saturn represents protection. Saturn is the planet of protection. You activate Saturn to shield yourself. Saturn is the shield. But Saturn is also Satan. So we have the polarity there. So moving on to the Plutonian mysteries. Just giving quick examples here. We see Pluto is in the 7th house. You see the number 7. We see Pluto there, 26 degrees Sagittarius. The 7th house is the house of Libra, the house of partnerships. So we have Sagittarius and Libra synchronized, or in other words, the 7th and the 9th house synchronized, one-on-one partnerships and seeking truth, which is what people are doing right now. People are seeking truth on a one-on-one basis, on a more personal basis, because we are not gathering in large crowds. We are dealing with each other more so on a more intimate, personal level. Seeking truth. What is really going on right now? How long would it last? You know, what is the long-term effect? How would this ultimately change everything in reality? And the news articles are kind of pointing to what's happening. And that's why I want to show you guys, well, what is the news saying? So let me not just stay in my zone. Let me introduce you guys to what's going on collectively. Okay, so now I'm going to change the screen and show you guys. I'm just going to pull up Google News, you know, so anybody can pull this up and you will see the same thing. So give me a second. Let me open up the browser here. Okay, see you guys, I have Beethoven here. So let's just play some Beethoven. You know, I played the introduction music, but let's switch up the vibe. Let's play some Beethoven. Let me make sure the levels are proper so it doesn't overwhelm my voice. Okay, give me a second. Okay. So hopefully you guys can hear that and still hear me clearly without it being overwhelming. If it's too loud or too low, let me know ahead of time. So let me get back. Let me open up the Google News so we can see what's going on. Let me kind of move this out the way. Yeah, I made sure to get the levels right ahead of time, so you guys should be able to hear me perfectly. So I just want to make sure. So the music is not overwhelming my voice, right? So can everybody hear me clearly over the music? So I just want to make sure before I move on, just in case the levels are not right. So let's go here. Okay. All right. Okay. So the first thing we see here, let me turn this down a bit. The first thing we see here, we see that Bernie Sanders just dropped out of the presidential race. Now, it has been clear for those who have been following along with politics, you know, it was clear that he was not going to win going up against Biden as the Democratic, nominee, so on and so forth. So he just officially dropped out of the race, even though it was clear that he was not going to win. So he was staying out there, keeping his voice active, putting in his 2 cents, doing what he do. But he has officially announced that he's out. Now let's go back to the astrology, but before we go back, let's actually keep going and let's see what else is going on. So let me go back to the Safari screen. I wanted you guys to see something else as well. Give me a second. I saw an article where the leading doctor of the virus said we will no longer shake hands. So let me see if I can find this article. Like it's just too risky to even shake hands continuously. Let's see. I see when I stroll, the audio okay, so let me turn the audio off. Give me a second. So I don't want the audio to clip too much. So I just have to play it in a different tab, so that's no problem. So I just don't want to make that disturbing. So as we see here, I'm just going down some news. Let me see. I'm not seeing the article, but I'm sure I can just type in the doctor's name. So give me a second. I'll just type in the doctor's name and it'll come up, I'm sure. I believe this is how you spell the name right here. Let's see. Now, of course, those who have been following with politics should be familiar with this guy already. So as you say, he's saying we are struggling to get it under control, right? So they're also saying that this may be a seasonal thing. This may be something that happens every year instead of something that happens one time. So even if you say we come out of this, let's just say in September, the 9th month, because that's also my prediction, where things will start to light up around September. Not saying that it will completely disappear, but we'll see. And here we are right here, Dr. I guess it's Flusy, and if I'm saying the name wrong, forgive me, on what fall may bring. So we were just talking about the fall. So anyway, let me go back. We don't want to stay too long on this one thing. But let's see what else is going on other than that. Now, of course, just looking at the overall basis of how this virus has completely taken over everything. Literally, you can't even go past 2 articles without this being mentioned. I also want to bring to people's attention that, let me actually scroll down before I say this, just to let everybody see what I'm seeing here. Now, the next thing also is social distancing, where we're supposed to remain at least 6 feet apart from one another. We're also, as I was saying earlier, we may never shake hands again. Like, that has been a tradition. That tradition is dead. Because who's really going to feel comfortable after this, where you literally can shake a person's hand and catch a disease and, oh, okay, it's gone. Everybody can shake hands again. People will not really open up that easily. Also, I saw articles earlier about Disneyland and Disney World. I may be saying that weird, where they may not become fully operational for the next 2 years because they predict that everything will be cut by 50%. So all the available space will be cut by 50%. So if the park could fit 10,000 people, now they will only allow 5,000, just as an example. And it would take a whole year just to recover from the damage. Now, so sex is out. You must become your own doctor. This is what I want to emphasize here. Because if you don't know how to heal yourself, know how to heal from within, then you're going to be fucked. I'll just say it like that. Yeah, you may lay down with somebody and they're not sick. They don't show any symptoms, but then you get sick because you have a different blood type and your immune system may not be as strong. This is basically what they're saying is what caused it to spread rapidly. It's not that people were around sick people. It was more because who wants to be around sick people anyway? So it wasn't everybody was exposed to sick people necessarily. It was you had no idea that a person was affected and now you're affected, but you are affected differently than whoever you may have got it from, and you don't even know who that is because no one was showing any symptoms. And this is what makes it what they call the invisible killer, because you literally have no idea where it's coming from, and you literally have people dying within weeks of catching this virus. Then you have people that are able to recover. Let us continue, excuse me. What else is going on? Again, I don't know why this hip hop stuff is coming up. I don't look up any of this stuff. Now, I believe also the British Prime Minister, I believe his name is Boris Johnson, he's also affected with the virus. Of course, there's people in Congress. Of course, there's celebrities. Like all of the, let's say, known people on the world stage, someone has been affected on every level. Now, the reason why this is so profound, why we have never experienced anything like this in our lifetime, because I do want to mention that while everyone is locked down, they are currently going forward with the 5G networks. And of course, we have all the conspiracies out there. I don't really want to get into the conspiracy itself, but I noticed in my own city that you have this empty city where there's very few people moving around and navigating, but there's all these construction workers. I guarantee anybody can see it. Just go outside, go to any downtown, go to places that would usually be busy, and you see all these construction workers laying down all these, all these pipes and lines, whatever they're doing. I'm sure it's happening in every single city right now. So while we're in the house, the workers are putting up the technology. Again, because we are in the Aquarian age. This is why technology has so much power and pull. So you can say in the middle of a pandemic, they still have enough time to install 5G. So we must understand where the energy is being directed. Because capitalism is still in effect. Don't get it twisted. They're not trying to protect those workers. They say, okay, keep getting your money and install this technology, right? And also this Joe Biden guy, even though the Democrats are putting all of their energy behind this guy, there is footage of him literally not even understanding what's coming out of his own mouth. Don't take my word for it. There's footage all online where he just mid-sentence, he just speaks about things that are non-factual. So he's definitely not going to be able to beat Trump. They're just putting on their game, as they always do. Now, and again, I see you guys are leaving comments. Give me a second. Okay, now we're on technology here. Now, there's a reason why this started in the East and eventually came to the West. Because the Aquarian age is all about that. See, this is what they're not going to tell you because they haven't did their research. The Aquarian age has always been about the entire time the Eastern knowledge coming to the West, or Eastern technology coming to the West. That has been the entire Aquarian agenda from the beginning. Now we have the technology, which is titled 5G. Let's look at what that actually means. What do I mean? We know the 5 is Mercury. The G is the 7th letter. The number 7 is Neptune. So we have a combination of Mercury and Neptune in terms of 5G. Let me give you my version of what 5G represents, because as an astrologer, this is what we do, right? But let me give you the real. Let me not give you the tidbits. When Mercury and Neptune synchronize, it stimulates the imagination. It stimulates your ability to fantasize. You can literally create a separate fantasy, which is what everybody is doing right now, because you can't go out and do anything. So people are forced to create alternate realities right now. So whether that alternate reality is you're bringing in a reality into your home through entertainment, through watching things on TV, you are channeling another reality and bringing it into your home, or you are projecting a reality from within yourself and projecting it out. Either way, the imagination is being stimulated when Mercury and Neptune synchronize. On the flip side, on the negative side, it's also very easy to deceive yourself. Self-deception. So you have your imagination. The power of the imagination is emphasized, but also self-deception is emphasized. Basically, all of the people who were trying to deny this, oh, this is not real, this is another hoax. I'm going to continue to live and do what I do normally till they had to force you to comply. So we will always have the polarity existing. But once we understand the attributes, it's very easy to come to these conclusions and not have to rely on the news or rely on the media. The only reason I'm showing these things is because we can arrive at these conclusions ourselves with the occult. The occult shows you how to arrive at these conclusions on your own. And of course, we did just pass the super pink moon, which was the biggest moon of this year. Now, of course, everyone did their moon rituals and what they typically do for the moon, which is why I didn't even bother to make a video. Like, everyone is going to think this is something normal or this is just another moon phase. So I'm like, let me talk about it after the fact. I'll talk about it after. After everybody do their normal rituals, let me show you and present to you what actually occurred in real time. So let me go back to the astrology application here. And again, I'm just showing the screen so you guys can just see what's going on in the world and how everything that has been discussed. This should not surprise any of you guys at all. Now, let me also go to Yahoo because I don't want to emphasize just one source. Let's also go to Yahoo News. Let's see what's going on. Let's just click on the news tab here. Of course, we see the same thing. Bernie Sanders, this is going to be the most supreme thing, obviously. Why? Because no one is really getting camera time other than Trump, because everyone is at home or, so any little thing is going to be blown out of proportion because nothing is really going on. So whatever is going on is emphasized. That's the ability of our imagination. Everything that is actually moving is being emphasized, which is why everybody is talking about COVID-19, coronavirus. It's like I literally see everybody talking about this. I'm all right. And I don't even want to talk about it no more. It's just too much, because they do not know what's going to happen. So they have to stick to what's going on right now. They can't tell you what's next. They can just say what's going on right now. So I'm like, all right, somebody got to tell you what's going on next. What is the next route? How do we move forward? So I'll do that while everyone else continues to harp on what's actually occurring. Let's see what we can actually do magically. And that's why, once again, I emphasize the outer planets. The outer planets must be emphasized, not the inner planets. The inner planets are just going to show you what's going on right in front of you, here and now, what's going on with your emotions, what's going on with your conscious, so on and so forth. But it will not tell you your magic. What can you tap into to completely transform yourself from the nothingness, which is the ability that Pluto has. The outer planets are more powerful than the inner planets. The reason why they don't really get a lot of emphasis in astrology is because the newer astrology does not understand the power of the outer planets. They are the outer planets because of their powers, not because they are less powerful. It's because they're more powerful. If we understand magnetism, the reason Pluto is the furthest from the sun, over 3 billion miles from the sun, the reason why it's that far is because it's the most powerful. It's not because it's the weakest. It's because it's the most powerful. So when you look at Neptune and Uranus, these are the most powerful planets, not the planets that we emphasize. But again, no one's going to tell you that, but I tell you that. So again, you see, I'm just showing you guys what's going on. I don't see anything interesting. Like, I was going to click and read some things. I'm not even seeing anything interesting. After we have already talked about the astrological orbits. Why? Because if you have to rely on your news this way, and this is what the average person does. The average person has to rely on their news this way because they cannot read the glyphs. If you cannot read the glyphs, then this is how you have to receive your news. You're not going to receive it from the planets directly by being able to understand their glyphs and their energies, and you're not going to receive it from the spirit if you have not developed your psychic ability. So you have to rely on the media, not understanding that you are the media. We are the media. We are the ones that's supposed to be projecting the energy, but no one understands what's going on. So everyone is just in this fantasy bubble right now. Everyone's in a fantasy bubble. No one knows how to project forward. That's the power of Uranus, which is why Uranus is in Aries right now, which is a cardinal fire, a sparking flame. So the potential right now, because Neptune is in Aquarius, then we have Uranus in Aries. So we have Aries and Aquarius. We have a fire and we have a wind synchronizing together. Because fire and air are favorable, Neptune and Aries are working together. And again, I'm just showing everything here. They're doing their best to not make everything about coronavirus, but it's not really working because I literally see everything. Also, this guy, for those who may not know this guy, they locked his ass up because, he was running medical scams. This guy, he was running medical scams, right? But he has a lot of money. And he may actually be a genius. He just was on the other side of the law. He was a criminal mastermind, essentially. So he's like, I can figure this out. This is not really hard at all. He may be right. He may be wrong. But again, this is the type of stuff that makes the news. Some people may find it relevant. Other people like, why does this opinion even matter? Again, it's not really hard to make the news, right? Another thing in the news is we're seeing that a lot of black and brown people are dying at extremely high rates due to the coronavirus. Okay, they're saying that it froze. Is it still frozen? It's good now? Okay. All right. Just making sure everything is good. Okay, let me put this down. Give me a second. Let me just show the screen. Give me 1 second here. So I'll pull this down. So let me put on the Beethoven and I'll get out of this screen. Okay. So again, this is the This is the only classical music I play for those who's into this. Because, all right, yeah, I know I came in with some hardcore hip-hop, then we transferred to Beethoven because we got to be versatile. Somebody got to show you this shit, so I'm showing you. So, yeah, I go to the hip-hop, to the classical, and I only played Beethoven. But why? Why do I only play Beethoven? Because Beethoven is from the 19th century. We know that's the century of the occult. Beethoven changed the music game when he manifested. They didn't even really understand what he was doing until after the fact, and he lived a very impoverished, hard life. His life was complete hardship. And he was deaf. Writing music, still making shit happen. So, ultimate warrior. So, I'll show love to Beethoven. Okay. Is it true that there are many arrests happening within the elites? Everybody is getting fucked. Everybody. This is not emphasized on the elites or any particular section of the populace. Everybody is fucked. Why? I will tell you why. I would be the only one to tell you why. Why? Because, as I've been saying, this is a Plutonian year. Pluto represents the ability to be a cyborg. Yes. The ability to be a cyborg, meaning everybody's going to get sick and we will acclimate. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody will acclimate to the new environment, which they're calling 5G. Everybody will acclimate because we are in a new atmosphere. 5G will create a new atmosphere. And if we take it beyond 5G, we have all of the earthly devices, the pyramids, the ziggurats, so on and so forth. We already have the earthly devices doing what they do. We have the stars doing what they do. Everybody must acclimate one way or another. So everybody's not going to necessarily get sick in the way we see it, but something will occur. It may just be completely money. People got to find out a new hustle. That just may be everyone else's problem who's not actually dealing with the sickness. Now you got to figure out how to maintain remotely in this world, like a post-apocalyptic world. How do you survive when we are in these environments and we have no idea how long? It may be seasonal, so it may happen every year. Like every year you got to put on a mask at a certain time of the year. That means this will become mandatory. Yeah, 5G ain't stopping. There is no stopping 5G. There again, go downtown, whatever city you're in, you're going to see them building. You're going to see the construction workers building right now. There is no stopping it. You must acclimate to it. Now, will it kill off people? Of course. But can you acclimate? Of course. Is it deeper than 5G? Of course. You must acclimate with the star energy. Your particular star energy. Strippers. See, strippers will be just fine. You know, you have OnlyFans. You know, women will be just fine. Why? Because, you know, women have already mastered how to make money within the home. There's no problem with that. It's more so for the people who are not used to that, who have no idea how to sit at home and make money. Everybody doesn't know how to do that. So that skill must be learned. And that goes for everybody. Even if this dies down, we still have to acclimate to this new set of skills. How do we acclimate? That's what the Aquarian information is. We are in the Aquarian age. Aquarius is all about technology. That's why 5G is here. That's technology. That's the occult. Occult is ancient technology. Technology is not just about electronics. Technology is the human body. We are living technology. that we don't even fully understand yet. That's what makes it technology. It's always new dimensions to be discovered. There's still new dimensions of consciousness to be discovered. Strippers are okay, but lap dances are toast. All businesses will suffer. This is way beyond the strippers. There is nothing open right now other than essentials. Any extracurricular activity is done. All forms of entertainment are finished, other than home entertainment. Other than the internet. Imagine not having the internet, but we do. We have technology right at our fingertips to continue to move forward. The internet is what freed us in the first place. The internet is what allows us to get educated. The internet gives you access to what you cannot access physically. The internet is why you should be a genius right now, because you got access to everything. There's nothing you cannot touch. You can get anything delivered to your front door. There's nothing you can't touch. There's no knowledge that is forbidden in the 21st century. Don't you think they were doing to people? Don't you think what they're doing to people is a little like bondage and discipline? It's not what they're doing. Nobody is doing anything. People are staying in the house because they don't want to die. Now, the government implemented the laws. Oh, well, you can't go out. Why would you want to go out? Because you can. Because if you put on your plutonian helmet, you can go any goddamn where. But who told you that? You put on your plutonian helmet, you can't be seen. I told you. Invisibility. Pluto puts on the helmet and becomes invisible. That's what you must do now. Because if you get caught, it's going to be a fine. So you must be invisible. But I already told you that, right? It's nothing new. I always thought in the age of Aquarius was supposed to be about love, like the 70s of modern days. Aquarius is more vast than love. Love is more Venus. That's the planet Venus. Aquarius doesn't really have anything to do with love, honestly. Aquarius really don't have anything to do with love. That's Venus. Venus is all about love, harmony, one-on-one partnerships, coming together, love and light. That's Venus. But remember, Aquarius is ruled by who? Uranus, which is an outer planet. The outer planets are very strange. So to minimize the power of Uranus to love, Uranus don't have anything to do with love. So Aquarius wouldn't have anything to do with love. The age of Aquarius has always been about technology, whether it's electronics or ancient technology. It's always been about technology. It's always been about technology. If you read the works that came out in the 70s, if you watch the movies that came out in the 70s, the black exploitation movies, it was all about tobacco. In the 70s, it was smoke everywhere. You can smoke anywhere in the 70s for those who fucking study or who were alive at those times. You can smoke any god. There was no rules. This is before they knew you could catch cancer and all that. You can smoke any goddamn where. Around kids, elders, it was smoke everywhere. It was the most spiritual decade. It's smoke everywhere. And what does tobacco do? Tobacco naturally taps you into spirits. People don't know that, but that's what it does naturally. So the 70s was the most spiritual decade for that reason alone. Did people understand that on an individual level? No, but collectively, it was filtered through the unconscious mind, and we all received that. We all receive that. So that's why we mimic that on a collective level. We all see that. Moving on. It's just little things like that that astrology allows you to understand. Even if we look at the 70s, we know that the 7 is Neptune. So if we go back to the 70s, they were Neptunian years, which is exactly what they were. If we look at the attributes of Neptune, those were the attributes of the 70s. They are the same attributes. Once you understand numerology, you understand everything. Once you understand astrology, you understand everything. Once you understand alchemy, you understand everything. What don't you understand? But people are sleeping on occult like all this other stuff is more relevant when it's not. Because we are right now. Can't do a motherfucking thing. Schools are shut down. You can't learn shit. Now you got to teach yourself. People put all this energy in the world and the government. Now you got to teach yourself. Now you got to be independent. Now you got to really put on your Plutonian hat, which is what the question is. How can you explain how to be invisible? This is what I'm talking about. If you understand the attributes of Pluto, this should not be a problem. What does Pluto represent? If we understand the mythology of Pluto, we understand it. See? There is no mythology connected to astrology. So you have astrologers out here not teaching you mythology. But who's teaching you mythology? I've been doing that. Because once you understand the stories, you understand how to activate the energy. If you don't understand the story, it's just words. What does Venus mean if you don't know the story of Venus? What does Mars mean if you don't understand the story of Mars? You see what I mean? But most people don't. Most people are like, what is the mythology behind Mars? What is the mythology behind Venus? They probably couldn't tell you the story connected to the planet that they studied. Why? Because all of these things are separate. All of these things are separate until you merge them together. They're not going to ever be together until you put them together. Just like I had to put these things together, so that's why no one else is talking what I'm talking, because I had to do this myself. You are not going to find this in a book. No book is going to teach you how to do this. I had to figure this out on my own. There is no secret. There is no cheat codes. It's all hard labor. Why? Because I was not putting my time into all this other stuff. I was putting my time into the occult. That's why I get it. Nothing else was more important than the knowledge, the wisdom. When you throw yourself into the vastness of reality and create yourself out of the nothingness, that has always been the most important thing to me, which is why I've been showing you guys for years. I showed you when I was at my lowest points because I knew where I would be. That's why I didn't mind showing you. Again, no one else is going to show you when they're fucked up. Why did I show you? Because if I show you my hardship, then when you see the attributes that manifest from that, then you're like, oh, okay. But no one else is showing you their actual journey. I'm the only one that's actually showing you the journey in real time. Everyone else is just talking about it. I'm actually showing you. I was the one going on live stream years ago, doing homeless challenges and all this shit, traveling all over the country. Not knowing anybody, putting in work. There's no one else who was doing that, even to this day. There's no. Why? Because everyone else got other shit to do. I didn't have nothing else to do. No, but that's Plutonian energy. I don't have nothing else to do but to get this knowledge right. That was my only mission. Get this knowledge right by any means necessary. And the proof is in the pudding because it's all on camera. I did it on camera just so I can show you. So everybody, like, how did you do it? Well, just go look at what I did. You see, I don't really have to talk because I already put the work in. Again, I'm the only one. I'm the only one that don't have to talk because I showed you in real time. I showed you how it was done. I didn't talk about it. I showed you. Who else showed you? Who else put their life on the line? I was putting my life on the line. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. When I was out in them streets, I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. But I had faith in my own ability to understand the occult. The occult is what helped me survive. I would have been like everybody else who reaches rock bottom and who cannot get out of it. But I took you guys to hell and showed you how to rise up. It is what it is, all right? Who else is putting you up on the devil? That's why I say this shit, right? Everybody else is godly. Let everybody else be God. I said I'll be the devil. I'm the one that made How to Be a Devil on Earth in New York years ago. I'm the one that made the video. While everybody else wants to be God, goddesses, I'm like, I don't want none of that shit. I'm going to hang with the devil. And that's just what it was. And that's just what it was, and that's what it is. So you tell me why the person that was taking that seriously was the person that warned you when no one else did. Just put that in your mind. How was a person who was following behind all this so-called devilish, evil, wicked shit telling you what's going on before it happened, and when it's actually happened, and after it happened? Right on point to the T. Why is it coming from this darker force? Why isn't it coming from everyone else? If they're supposed to be more powerful, well, why did they prepare you then? Why were you prepared from the demons and the jinn and the devils? Why did they prepare you? Just something to think about. Why didn't they lead you astray? Why am I not leading anyone astray? Why am I just telling everybody to get up on your game? Study what's already here to study. Study what's already studied for you and implement it. What is it like to follow the devil? Just watch it. It's already recorded on camera. But to answer the question, it's being able to predict the future, because that's what I did. I predicted it while all of these godly people had no idea. They continued to do whatever they did. I was very serious. Go back to the video, the 2020 download, and look how serious I was in that video. I wasn't playing around. I was serious, cussing and fussing crazy. I was serious. Like, yo, get on your job. I was serious. Who else was serious? Giving you the warning. No one else was giving you the warning with that level of seriousness, because I'm like, yo, I see it happening. Let's get on our job. I'm not going to keep it to myself. I don't care to charge you. Okay, I got to charge you for this. No, I put it out for free, didn't charge anybody anything. Before anything popped off, it was already available to the public. I have about 1,000 pieces of content in total on the internet. So it just is what it is. The work shows for itself. I don't want to talk about myself the whole video. I'm just showing the seriousness and the dedication that it takes to be able to predict the future, to be able to survive any type of situation or circumstance that you were presented with, because you have integrated with what your ancestors told you to integrate with. Not because I told you, it's already here for us. The pyramids been standing there. Can't no scientist explain that shit. So why are we listening to them? They don't even know how they did it. But the ancestors did. We can listen to them. Why aren't we listening to them? I just chose to listen to them. I chose not to listen to people who don't know how that happened. Let me tap into the people that do. Let me figure out how this happened by tapping into the spirits that built it. Because they're still here. That's what the forbidden arts are. That's what necromancy is, how to communicate with the dead. So there is no people die and that's it. You can communicate with those who have transcended, but that's forbidden, unfortunately. But what are you going to do about it? But break the law and get that knowledge anyway. I broke the law and got that knowledge anyway. Just because it was forbidden, I did it anyway. I did it anyway. And that's why everything that I reveal through this channel, through this medium, comes from the spirit. Because that's all I do. That's all I've been doing. And you have seen my level of seriousness for years now. I've been on YouTube for 7 years. This is my 7th year. This is the God year for those who understand supreme mathematics. I'm on my Neptunian year, which is all about visualization, imagination, and creating a fantasy world, which I told you how to do through the use and power of Pluto. But if you don't understand the stories, there's no way to understand that. See, most people don't even understand the difference between Pluto and Hades. They don't know the difference. They don't know one is a Roman deity, the other one is a Greek deity. And that makes a difference. That makes a difference. Astrology has Roman deities. Astrology also has Greek deities. If you don't know the difference, how do you apply it? That's why mythology is science. Mythology is science hidden underneath stories. Because it's easy to remember stories, it's hard to remember science. So if you can teach science through stories, it's easy to remember it. That's genius. Let me not teach you this complex shit. Let me teach you a story that activates your right brain so you can remember the story. And if you remember the story, you remember the science, because the science is contained within the stories. That's why stories work. That's why they are the perfect avenue. That's why stories have always been passed down, because the knowledge has been preserved in the stories. But if you don't know that, if you just think, oh, these stories don't mean anything, these are equations, mathematical, scientific, magical equations. They're not obvious. Every time I receive a revelation from the spirit, I have to do work. I have to decode it. It's not obvious. But people who don't work with the spirit can't tell you that. I can tell you exactly how it works. It's like decoding a puzzle. It's like decoding a puzzle. It ain't something that just happens and you know exactly what to do. You got to apply science. Sometimes you got to go back and reread things. You have to restudy things. I have to go back so many times and refine things that I may have forgotten because it was revealed through the spirit. The spirit tells you, go back and refine this, go back and refine that, put this together. See, there are many spiritual people that are not scientific, so they are limited. What do I mean? There are so many people who receive visions, who are clairvoyant. There are many people who are clairvoyant, but that don't mean they're astrologers. That don't mean they're scientists. That don't mean they're alchemists. But if you are, all the better. But I am encouraging synchronization of science, not separation. Do not be a lazy fuck and think that just because you have one school mastered that is all you have to do. Because if I felt that way, imagine what I could offer if all I studied was astrology. Imagine if all I studied was astrology. I didn't have nothing else to offer or give but astrology. That's it. What substance would be there if all I had was that? I don't have no mythology. I don't have no numerology. I don't have no alchemy. I don't have no magic. I don't have no ℓ𝔬𝔢. Right? I don't have any goetic magic. No, I can go down all of these sciences. Phasonian magic, Aztec magic, Mayan magic, the 80 mortals. It's just so many pantheons. The Egyptian, the three demons in Egypt. It's so many spirits and pantheons that synchronize together. They're all codes that must be broken. I had to get a fucking encyclopedia of spirits and work with them. I've worked with spirits around the entire world. I'm running out of spirits to work with, because this is all I've been doing. Once you work with the spirits, they teach you the fucking culture. I can tell you because this is how I have learned. Through the spirits. When you work through the energies, they teach you. You are taught this. Why is it still here? Like, oh, how do I learn ancient information? Well, what is still here? What has been preserved? The mythology. The mythology has been preserved. You have to decode it. It's still here, alive and well. But you have to tap into your superconscious. This ain't something that you can understand logically. People try to use their logical mind to understand this and they fail. You have to use your superconscious, not your conscious. This is why we are going beyond being conscious. Your conscious ain't going to take you to planes that you need to be. You got to tap into the super conscious. You got to go beyond conscious. You got to go beyond beta brainwaves. You got to go to gamma brainwaves. But who else was telling you that? Who else made the synchronization to brainwaves and levels of consciousness? With the Greek alphabet and the Hebrew. There's so many magical alphabets. You got runes. You got the Hebrew alphabet. You got the Greek alphabet. You got the English alphabet. You got the Arabic alphabet. There are so many magical alphabets. And most people just think these are just letters and words that don't mean anything. Just like they know number 1 is 1 + 1 is 2, and that's all there is. Numbers don't mean nothing but what they signify strictly on a tangible level. That's how the average person views mathematics. 1 + 1 is 2. And that's it. No, the superconscious is not your intuition. They are not the same. So I just want to make that clear. I see it in the comments. They are not the same. The superconscious is not your intuition. Study brainwaves. Right? Study brainwaves. Study where the intuition comes from. Study where the superconscious comes from. They do not originate in the same place. When you have that level of detail, you win. Most people don't have detail. Most people are saying any goddamn thing that makes sense. But when you actually do make sense, and you can prove it scientifically, I can pull this shit up right now. Let me pull it up right now. I can pull it up right now. Hold on, because I know I just got you guys staring at Beethoven. All right, let's move beyond Beethoven. Let me move beyond Beethoven. Let me give you an example. Let me type in. I'm gonna get off of here. Hold on. Let me stop that. I'll stop that. Let me just show you something. Let me type in astrology books. I'm going to just type in astrology books because that was a question from earlier. Let me just show you guys how far back these books go. So this is what you would see if you type in astrology books. I'm just going to give you guys an example. This is what the average person does. Oh, astrology book. And this is what they will see. Right? They're going to see all this. All these titles. This is what they're going to see. This is what they're going to see. Right? This is what you're going to see. All of these books were either written in the 21st century or the 20th century. These are 20th century astrology books and 21st century astrology books. This is what you will see if you just do a basic Google search for astrology books. This is what you will see. None of these books is teaching real astrology. None of them. But let me prove that to you. Let me not just say that. So let me type in 16th century. Now, let me just go to images. Oh, look at this. You see this shit? You see this shit? Do you see this shit? This is more advanced, right? They are not teaching this degree of astrology. Look at this. Look at these images. Look at these images. You don't even know who this is. Don't even know who that is. Don't even know the significance that this man plays in astrology. But I'm not even going to get into that yet. I just want to give y'all an example. This is not being taught in these books. They're not teaching you what all this means. This is medical astrology. This is not even touched. It's not being touched. It's not being taught. You see this? Now y'all wonder, this is why I use those fonts. For those who've been paying attention to my fonts, I changed my fonts. I've been using these fonts. This is why I use these fonts, for this exact reason. That's why I use those fonts, because it takes you back to the original astrology. Look at this. It's not in English. That's Latin. This is an astrologer book or astrology book, but this is for the masters. This ain't something that the average person can even understand. Just giving examples. It's advanced. Magical alphabets. These are magical alphabets. As I was mentioning, see, this is a magical square. These are magical alphabets. This looks like Sanskrit, but I could be wrong. This looks like Sanskrit. I could be wrong. But this is not touched in modern times. This form of astrology is not touched. So for anybody who think I'm just saying this stuff, this form of astrology is not touched. 16th century, 17th astrology is not touched. And again, astrology has been watered down purposely for the average person to understand. Do not think that astrology is simple just because it appears that way. See, as we see, astrology is synchronized with alchemy. These are alchemical, hermetic principles expressed utilizing astrology. These are hermetic principles. You have to read the Hermetica to truly understand astrology, because this is what this is. This is Hermetica. This is the Hermetic arts. All occult comes from the Hermetic arts. But your desire has to be unlimited to understand this. You cannot allow anything to get in your way if you truly want to understand this. This is not something that you can do casually. This is another astrologer. This is not casual work. The occult is not casual. This is not a hobby. This is called the great work. This is not something you have time for some days and other days you don't. That's how astrology is treated in the 21st century, but that's not how it actually is. Now this looks like an older book. Just look at the way that this is even structured. Look at the way these books are even structured. It's completely different. Here's a book right here. Astrology, Magic, and Alchemy in Art. What I just said. Alchemy and astrology and magic are one. So that may be a book you want to read. There's the author right there. I've never read the book, but I'm just emphasizing the point. And again, you see the fonts that are being used. You see they use an older Latin font, which is why I also use the font. Just going back to the original essence of astrology, just to be clear. Hold on. I believe a question was asked. Do you have any info on Apollo? I'm currently researching him. Any story or source will help. There is only one source. Actually, let me not say one source, because over time, mythology presents us with several different stories. See, that's a great point. So let me bring up that point right there. There are several different versions of stories. you may have 3, 4, or even 5 different variations of a story. Just showing you how advanced mythology truly is. If you are studying one deity from 5 different angles, that is the fullness of that deity. But if you only study from one angle, from one period of time, so we have to understand history. As time progresses, the story changes. So you have to understand what is the original story and how did that story change over time, because the attributes change over time. Certain deities synchronize together, certain deities are separated. And yes, there is an emphasis on, well, why is Apollo not used? Because Apollo is, we don't say Apollo, we say the sun, because we know Apollo represents the sun, but we don't use Apollo, we use the sun. Just like there is no deity called the moon, but we use the moon, because astrology is a combination of things. You can say the sun and the moon, that's one energy. Then you go to the Roman energy, the Venus, the Mars, the Neptune, so on and so forth. Then you go to the Greek, which is the asteroids, Athena, Chiron, so on and so forth. You have multiple versions and different types of astrology synchronized. This is what I mean. Astrology has become advanced over time, in the sense of, if you go back in time and you implement the current astrology with the older astrology, you have everything you need. Again, give me a second. I believe a question was asked up here about the Uranian mysteries. Let me see. Give me a second. All right. When they are done crashing the economy, astrologers will be back in demand. Astrologers are always in demand. They don't never go out of style. See, that's the thing. Astrology has withstood the test of time. So for anybody who believes that astrology is not real, it has withstood the test of time. We are in the 21st century and astrology is still relevant. It is occult because it's not mainstream. Astrology has been underground since the 16th century. So astrology has been occult for hundreds of years now. A very long time. Like 500 years. For the last 500 years, astrology has been occult or underground. So almost. How is astrology still alive if it's been hidden, essentially? It's not something that you can take to, let's just say, you can't prove anything with astrology on a worldly level to most people. Most people would not accept astrology as valid in the 21st century. If you use astrology as one of your sources to prove anything, they're not going to accept it. Not because it's wrong, but because they are modern scientists. And the basis of that is Einstein. Einstein believed that the universe has to make sense. But he was wrong, even though they do not acknowledge. What do I mean? What Albert Einstein calls spooky action at a distance, which he did not understand, which he did not accept, because it introduced a level of chaos to what was supposed to be solid. Or the universe is solid, and we need to understand the solidity of it. But spooky action at a distance, later termed quantum physics, introduces chaos to the equation. That everything is not solid. We actually have a lot of chaos in the picture. So when the element or idea of chaos was introduced to the picture, it completely changed the scope of everything. That's how video games came out, for those who don't know the history. Once quantum physics was established in science, video games came out. All this advanced technology in the 80s and the 90s, where technology just went crazy. Quantum physics is why we have the technology we have today. It's that chaos that we begin to understand. That's what allowed us to advance ourselves. We advance in the chaos. But let's look up the definition, because I know I'm using these words, but what does these words mean? Let's go to etymology. Give me a second. Let me type this in. We're going to look up the etymology of chaos. Give me a second. And again, I just want to show everybody what I'm doing, so there is no secrets here. You know, anybody can just do this themselves. Chaos. So chaos was released in the 14th century. I'm looking over to the right, and I see quarantine is one of the trending words, as we see over here to the right. So people been studying. You see that? That's a new addition right there. People is research. Anyway, let's get to the point. The definition is a gaping void, empty, immeasurable space. Abyss, that which gapes wide open, that which is vast and empty. To yawn, gape, to be wide open. When we understand the original context, we get the real essence of a thing. See, I guarantee the average person was not thinking that chaos meant a gaping void, something that is wide open. Something that gapes wide open. They would think more like what the second definition is, utter confusion. But that's from the 16th. Well, not the 16th, the 1600s. So what we associate chaos with currently more so comes from the 1600s. But the original essence is talking about a gaping hole. Sounds more like the Vesica Pisces, right? But we do associate the negative energy, the Vesica Pisces, so on and so forth. But what does that mean? Right now, we are in chaos. No one really has answers, right? It's just a wide-ass open gap. And no one knows when it's going to close. It's just a wide open gap right now. No one knows when it's going to close. No one knows when we will become stabilized. Now, if we look at the very bottom here, sometimes it was personified as a god, begetter of Erebus and Nix, which is the night. You see what I mean? Who would have thought that the chaos actually takes you to two deities? And I was just talking to you guys about mythology. You see, I'm doing all this in real time. I had no idea. But this is just verification of, if you truly want to understand chaos, those are the deities you need to study. Those are the deities you need to activate. This is what etymology does. You see, this is when we take it a step further than the definition. Most people just look at the definition. See, we have to go to the origin of the word, which takes us to the deities. And when you study the deities, once again, you get the original essence of what we're actually dealing with versus the interpretation of what we think it is. We mainly deal with interpretations, not the essence, because you have to read the original language to get the essence. But etymology takes you the closest to the original essence, which is why it's taking you to the original terms. So the chaos is to be wide open. That's what we are right now. We are dwelling in the wide open gap of chaos. But who do we find in the chaos? Erebus and Nynx. Erebus, Nynx. Erebus, Ebris. You know, however you choose to say it. Two deities. So once you familiarize yourself with their stories, because that's where the secrets are contained, in their stories, when you become familiar with their stories, you will actually understand, how do you navigate the chaos? There's your answer right in front of you. Let me emphasize this for those who may not be seeing this. That's how you get out of the chaos. That's how you get out of chaos. Right there. There you go. Another thing we have, chaos theory. Most people have no idea what chaos theory is. But let's research. Let's do some research. Let's see what chaos theory is. Why? Because we're seeking solutions. We're seeking answers. So let's see. What is chaos theory? So let's just look up the definition of chaos theory. I'll just type it in. Oh, look at this Wikipedia definition. Look at this definition. Let's see if we can get through it. I got to put on my reading cap. Let's go. We ain't running away. All right, let's go. Let's see. Chaos theory. Chaos theory is an interdisciplinary theory stating that within the apparent randomness of chaotic, complex systems, there are underlying patterns, interconnectedness, constant feedback, loops, repetition, self-similarity, fractals, and self-organization. All right, let's actually go in here because I think there's more to it. Or that may just be the first sentence. That just may be the first sentence. But anyway, as you see, they're making it overly complex. So this is what I want to make clear. You see how this is overly complex, where you gotta understand each of those individual components to even understand chaos theory. So you gotta know what underlying patterns are. You got to know what interconnectedness means. You got to understand constant feedback loops, repetitions, self-similarity, fractal, self-organization, the butterfly effect. There is many, many dimensions in this chaos theory. Also, if we stroll down here, at this last sentence here, last paragraph. Chaos theory has applications in a variety of disciplines, including, let's go down here, meteorology, anthropologically. Anthropologically. That's crazy. I'm going to say it right. Anthropologically. There we go. Sociologically. Physics, environmental science, computer science, engineering, economics, biology, ecologically. Ecologically, that's not how you say it. That's not how you say it. Do not quote me. That's why I want to show you. So if I say anything wrong, you see it right in front of you and you correct it. All right? So if you don't understand all of this stuff, you don't understand chaos theory. So chaos theory is all of these things in connection. And again, you can read it yourself. I'm not even going to read all this. What does this mean? Let me actually read this last sentence. The theory formed the basis for such fields of study such as complex dynamical systems, edge of chaos theory and self-assembly processes. Meteorology, anthropologically, sociologically, physics, environmental science, computer science, engineering, economics, biology, ecologically, and philosophy. All right, there we go. So I said all the words right that time. But as we see, to even understand chaos, we have to understand science. This is the point I'm making. This is what I want to show you. To even understand chaos, you have to understand science. The introduction to science, or the foundation or the basis of science, is chemistry. Chemistry is the basis of science. You have to understand chemistry before you understand anything else. How do you understand chemistry? Through alchemy. Alchemy teaches you the secrets of chemistry, which you can't go to school and learn. So through alchemy, you are introduced to all the other sciences, which we see right before us. You're not going to understand any of these things without understanding chemistry. Chemistry allows you to understand all this, and this is why I'm saying this. You got people who study all these things individually. But chemistry, alchemy in this instance, is all of this. Chaos theory is alchemy. Alchemy teaches you the secrets of chemistry. The secrets of chemistry is all of these things in one. So if you go to school to learn all this stuff, it's going to take you a long ass time to learn all this stuff. Or you can learn numerology, astrology, alchemy, which takes a long time as well. But you have a very I don't even want to say very. You have a more intimate connection with the spirit itself if you take that route. If you take the route of numerology, alchemy, and astrology, you have a more intimate understanding of reality around you. When you study any of this, you also understand reality around you. But none of this is telling you how to manipulate it, how to actually influence the chaos. This teaches you what the chaos is, but it doesn't teach you how to manipulate the chaos. In order to manipulate the chaos, you must study hermetics. Let's go there. Let's go to hermetics, for those who may not be familiar. And again, I just want to take you guys through this, because I know no one else is going to do this shit, right? We're going to make this really clear. So, hermetics. And this will be the last thing before we get out of here, because this is basically where it all sums up to. It all sums up to hermetics. There we go. Hermeticism. So yeah, let's just click on that. Let's just go to the Wikipedia. This. Okay. We just read the first sentence. We don't have to read all of this. Oh. But we're going to read that right-hand side over here. We're going to definitely dig into that. So that will bring everything together. I'm glad I brought this page up. Okay. Hermeticism is a religious, philosophical, and esoteric tradition based primarily upon writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, thrice greatest Hermes. These writings have greatly influenced the Western esoteric tradition that were considered to be of great importance during both the Renaissance and the Reformation. Yes. The tradition. Yeah, see, now we're getting into some Greek. The tradition traces its origins to a Prissa, theologia. Okay. The doctrine that affirms the existence of a single true theology that is present in all religions, that was given by God to man and iniquity. All right, there we go. So other than that Greek word, We good, right? You so what we just read. Let me read that one phrase one more time. The tradition traces its origins to a ℓ, I believe it's ℓ, 𝔂𝔂𝔢𝔫𝔱 or 𝔂𝔂𝔢𝔫𝔱, 𝔂𝔂𝔢𝔫𝔱, ℓ, 𝔂𝔂𝔢𝔫𝔱. There we go. At least let me try to pronounce it correctly. ℓ, theologia. There we go. Yeah, theologia. ℓ, that sounds better. ℓ. All right. There we go. A doctrine that affirms the existence of a single true theology that is present in all religions, that was given by God to man in iniquity. In other words, this is the basis of all religion. The basis of all religion is Hermetics or Hermeticism. That is the basis of all religion. Let's take a look at the right-hand side here. If we look at the right-hand side, let's go over here. Mythology, Hermes, Trismegistus, Thoth, and whoever this guy is. But I want to emphasize that Thoth and Trismegistus are the same. So if we look up Thoth, we see the Egyptian deity here, and Hermes Trismegistus. If you look up Hermes, that's a Greek deity. So the Egyptian pantheon knows him as Thoth, and the Greeks know him as Hermes. But it's the same being from a different pantheon. Of course, the ultimate book is the Kybalion. For those who have not read the Kybalion, that's the ultimate book. Now, what does it say? 3 parts of the wisdom of the whole universe. What does it say? Alchemy, astrology, theurgy, or theurgy. Say it however you like, right? 3 dimensions. The 3 parts of wisdom of the whole universe. This is what I've been telling you. But now I'm showing you. Right? I've been telling you, but now I'm showing you, so now you can do your further research. Alchemy, astrology, theurgy, or theurgy. And of course, these are all the movements, the orders. Of course, I mentioned Thelema, right? So that's, Crowley was mentioned in the comment section. I saw Crowley in the comments. So that's that connection as well. We see Aleister Crowley, yada, yada, yada. Right? So all that, it all comes from this. Obviously, we see it here. Aleister Crowley people. There you go. Aleister Crowley. John D. I showed you him earlier. John. So Manly P. Hall. All these. You should be familiar with some of these people. Anybody who studied the occult. Eulippus Levi. The person who created the Baphomet image. So he created the Baphomet image that we know today in the 19th century. So everybody should be familiar with some of these people or some of these orders, some of these topics. But we see the original source of all of these things is Hermeticism. This is there's nothing before this other than Atlantean and Lemurian information. But we don't have to talk about that. In terms of the oldest that we can prove with evidence, Hermeticism. So with that being said, unless anybody has any questions, we will check out. I believe I presented this to you guys in a way that's tangible enough to not take it on face value and encourage further research. And why I take these things so seriously, because you see, you can spend a lifetime studying these things unless you bring them together holistically as one. If you study these things separately and never merge them, then you are missing out. Once again, alchemy without astrology, what's that? What's astrology without magic? What's magic without alchemy? What's magic without astrology? Yeah, so with that being said, yeah. Let's play some outro music. So I'm not just going to end it. Let's see what we got. Let's see what I'll leave this page up. You know, here it is. Of course, we're all familiar with this symbol, the caduceus, the medical symbol. Even that comes from Hermeticism. And the medical energy is crazy right now. The hospitals is dominated right now. And of course, tarot cards, the magician, right? See, everybody knows this stuff. This is the known stuff. But they can't take you back to the Hermetics. So let me see. Let me put on some tunes. Give me a second. Let me drop this. Okay, I already played that one. Let me play something different. Give me a second. I'm going to actually, because I'm manipulating these sounds in real time. So I'm going to try to produce some effects too. So that's why I'm taking time with this. Okay, that should be ready to go. Okay, let's see. So, be sure to check out the website, all the links. Because after this, I will be doing a website video as well to go further into this. So, let me put this music on and we out of here. Study up. Put nothing before the game. Stay 10 toes down. We've all heard that before. Put the occult first. As they say, put God first. No, put the occult first. God damn it. Fuck that shit. Fuck that bullshit. Put the occult first. Fuck anything that's not original. If it ain't original, fuck it. Reintroduce yourself to the chaos. And create and manifest your own light. Fuck the known light. Manifest your own light. It's time for Universe B. Let's start with the games. But of course, there will be those who continue to play. But fuck them all. We out.
Hell versus hell.
We out. Let me see. Okay.
Dollar signs flashing through my mind, flashing through my mind, flashing through my mind. Dollar signs flashing through my flashing. Look who just entered the room. This is a legion of doom. Off of that fire and shrooms. Triple D, we from straight from the noon. Let the bitches start pimping on life. For water with ice and I blink in your sight. For West Indies lights be as bright as a night. We inviting them shadows of light. Oh, you don't know I'm a gypsy? I spray your whole block with graffiti. You say it's so hard but can't see me? Cause I'm a no black with a beanie. I'm a no black with a beanie. I'm a no black with a beanie. Face I be ghost, you would think I was genie. Thought I was relic to blue Lamborghini. We forgot this planet. 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 I like the way that you be out. She like the way that I be down. I'm liking the way that you smile. She want it right here and right